What's going on, dudes and dudettes? So a five-star shooting guard in the 2025 class. His name is Alijah Arenas. Yes, related to the great Gilbert Arenas, who was in the NBA the past couple decades or so. I believe he put out a top 5 earlier this week, which included USC, along with some other big schools like Kentucky, probably Kansas too. But luckily, just today, I didn't even know he was announcing today, but looks like he has selected to commit to USC. It's another big-time five-star prospect they were to pick up. And it's also kind of big, too, because I believe Eric Musselman, the head coach at USC, did coach his father, Gilbert's, in the pros, too, while they were at the Warriors. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. At least he's able to trust him. Maybe he kind of said, yeah, go with him. I've known him. He's been my coach before, so might as well just go with somebody you know. And he gets to stay local, too, because I believe Gilbert Arenas does live in the LA area, so yeah, that's pretty awesome. I did mention in that last video earlier this week that I hope that USC was able to get like one of those 5 or 6 top 10 players in the next year's class, so he might be the class right before that. But either way, looking forward to seeing them get this local guy and hopefully some more local guys coming up soon. And then the football program did take kind of a big hit when their executive director of football recruiting, Annie Hansen, stepped down. Apparently, according to her, after much prayer and support from USC family, she's made a difficult decision to step back from her role as executive director of recruiting to honor her responsibilities as a mom to a new baby who is named Rock and the wife of her husband, who's, I believe, the offensive line coach at the school. So, yeah, it's pretty obvious, especially because right before this and even right after her announcement, USC has been making a bunch of moves with the recruiting personnel and a lot of people behind the scenes and stuff. So yeah, I think they've already found a replacement or two for her. But yeah, she's been really big, especially when it comes to Lincoln Riley as part of one of his people, because I believe she was there at Oklahoma prior to USC with him, and then she came over to LA to follow him and kind of do the same thing, director of recruiting, especially while the recruits are on campus, make sure they got everything and they're all set to go. But yeah, overall, I think she's done really well, especially with as much as she was able to do, especially those first couple years. But they definitely are doing some big stuff, especially with some of the people they have hired. So yeah, obviously becoming a parent and being a mother comes first, especially those first couple of years. So yeah, it's definitely a more important job for her. But yeah, like I said, they've been making some big moves. They did hire a new cornerback coach, that they're calling him. His name is Trevon Reed. But I believe this is a big-time get because he's one of the more top talented recruiters out there, especially in the southern part of America. So yeah, he's always in it with a lot of those guys, and has had a lot of people too, especially I think he's the only coach, the position coach, that has 2 players from his school at that same position at the Senior Bowl right now that's going on over there in Mobile. So he's one of those top guys. And yeah, it says cornerback coach because I think Doug Belk, who was a cornerbacks coach, is going to be moving to the safeties and coaching them, but I don't think it means he's leaving. I know there was a chance for him to leave, to go to Miami at some point within the past couple of weeks, but he decided to stay. But maybe USC is doing this to not only get a really good recruiter, especially in an area that they need to get some better recruiting done in the South, but then also a guy to fill in if Doug Belk ends up deciding to leave at some point. I mean, he could probably leave still this offseason leading into the summer, or especially after one more season at USC. So I really like that they're setting up for the future, and I'm not mad about it at all. But also Chad Bowden, the new director of like recruiting and all that stuff, the new GM, he did make a lot of hires too, that he had a lot of guys and people that he's bringing from Notre Dame and from other schools that he worked with Notre Dame prior to. I believe he did pick up a new executive director of scouting and personnel in Dre Brown, who's recently with Illinois, but he worked with him at Notre Dame. Then he also is bringing an assistant AD of recruiting operations in Zaire Turner, who's just recently with him at Notre Dame, and she's one of her, like, his right-hand women. So yeah, she's definitely a big-time get. They also are upgrading a couple people on the staff. They're upgrading Weston Zernikel to a director of recruiting. They're upgrading Drew Fox to the NFL Pro Liaison High School scouting as well. And then they're also upgrading Skylar Fan to the director of recruiting strategy. So yeah, a lot of moving parts, but I know a lot of these moves have come kind of a bit more behind the scenes and less like hands-on by Lincoln Riley. Yes, Annie Hansen was good, but maybe she just needed more help and kind of knew she was going to be busy off campus and all that stuff. So they kind of just hired a bunch of people to do a lot of what she did, but it's going to make it a lot easier for this program to be able to move on. And especially if Lincoln Riley, the head coach, decides to move on to whether it's taking an NFL job or just stepping away from coaching entirely, then they kind of have a nice setup for whoever is the next head coach coming into USC football. So either way, I'm very excited to see the future of what this program can do, not only in recruiting, but in the transfer portal too, and all this other stuff heading into the future for USC. An ex-USC basketball player, Evan Mobley of the Cleveland Cavaliers, was named an All-Star reserve on the Eastern side, so congrats to him. I believe that's his first time getting an All-Star selection. And then the freshman for the USC basketball team, Avery Howe, was named the Freshman Big Ten of the Week, so congrats to her. Also, their incoming freshman next season, Jazzy Davidson, was named a McDonald's All-American, so that's not surprising there. Congrats to her. And then the USC women's basketball team did defeat the Minnesota Golden Gophers 82-69 at home. A little bit closer, like around halftime, but they were able to pull away in the end. Obviously, a lot more better competition here in the Big Ten than the Pac-12, but at least they got this victory. And then that five-star quarterback, Hussein Longstreet, looks like he's number 12 in the On3 overall rankings when it comes to their 5 stars. And yeah, it's obvious that they got a very talented guy from Corona, California. So definitely very excited to see if he ends up starting, because he does have a chance, because they have a pretty easy cupcake schedule to put out a true freshman, but we'll see. And then Sam Darnold was apparently voted as the comeback player of the year, but I don't know if this was like for real from the NFL honors or if it was just from Fox Sports. They did it themselves, so I don't know if this is official when it comes from the NFL as that main award, but maybe this is some good heading to see that he might be one of those top guys to end up winning, so that's a good thing in the end, I guess. And then, yeah, they have the most Pro Bowls when it comes to USC, Pro Bowl selections in all of college football with like 246 players, which is pretty crazy. Isaiah Collier, the rookie from, I believe it was Utah, he was drafted out of USC. He recently had 6 assists in 11 straight games. It's the longest such streak by a rookie in Jazz history. So yeah, congrats to him. Obviously, I said about a week or two ago when he had that big game for his career high that I would hope that they would play him more. I didn't know why they weren't playing him, but of course he's doing very well and obviously doing some good stuff stat-wise. So hopefully he can continue it next couple of years or so. And then when it comes to House of Victory, I haven't talked about them in a bit, but they were able to sign the defensive end Braylon Shelby from the football team for another season. So not surprising there. He's one of their top young defensive players on that defensive line. So we'll see what type of NIL opportunities he can get this season. And the Anaheim Ducks had a game against the Seattle Kraken and got that victory 6-4. So congrats to them. And then, yeah, a little bit of a congratulations of sorts to 2 USC players, Juju Smith-Schuster, the wide receiver, and Christian Roland Wallace, the cornerback, 2 players for the Kansas City Chiefs for making the Super Bowl, facing against Philadelphia. Yeah, I kind of forgot to mention that in the last video, but of course this graphic from the USC social media kind of made me remember that I didn't say that. So yes, congrats to them. I guess if Kansas City ends up making history and winning 3 straight, I guess I could be somewhat happy. So I think there is a Duke guy on there. Also, I'll get into that in another video, but yeah, it's still very tough to root for the Chiefs right now, especially as a Chargers fan. And then, yeah, the USC basketball team, they did lose, sadly, 76-82 against the UCLA Bruins earlier this week. I know in my last USC video I talked about that matchup and was hoping for a victory, but yes, sadly, they came up short. I thought UCLA was ranked higher, or even ranked. I don't even think they are ranked this season in the top 25, but they are still a scrappy team, still a rivalry, so you're going to get that team's best chance or best foot in that game, especially when it's a rivalry game, as I said. But yeah, they came up short at home, but hopefully they can get that victory, that crosstown victory on the road at some point coming up soon. So yes, thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye. If I don't.